If you had told Arsene Wenger on Monday morning that his team would have all but emulated Barcelona by the end of the week, then he almost certainly would have bitten your hand off. And yet just after halftime in Moscow, the Arsenal boss must have been fearing the worst given events around Europe this week. Like Barca and Rome, the Gunners arrived in the Russian capital with a 4-1 lead to defend, only to find themselves 2-0 down and staring elimination in the face with 40 minutes still left on the clock. Defensive inconsistency is something Arsenal fans have come accustomed to over the past few seasons, and those bad habits yet again returned to their backline on Thursday. Wenger had named his strongest possible team at the Chile VEB Arena, with Mesut Ozil, Aaron Ramsey and Alexander Lacazette all starting. Perhaps more striking was his substitutes bench, though, with the veteran coach selecting 4 defenders among his 7 replacements. That meant an inclusion for club captain Per Mertesacker, who recently admitted that he would rather not play for Arsenal again because of the mental and physical burden. The German was seemingly preferred to teenage talent Reiss Nelson, and for much of the first hour it seemed that negative attitude had spread to Wenger's players on the pitch. Goalkeeper Igor Akinfeev and twin defenders Vasilij and Alexei Berezutsky were all part of CSKA's starting 11 the last time these two teams met in the Champions League over a decade ago. On that night in Moscow, the Gunners lost 1-0 after struggling to create any opportunities of note, and it was a similar story almost 11 years later as Wenger's men failed to record a shot on target until Danny Welbeck finally settled their nerves 15 minutes before time. Until the England international's intervention, the one-way traffic mirrored that of Moscow's roads for much of the day. On a day when Russia celebrated the 57th anniversary of Yuri Gagarin's maiden voyage into space, it was Arsenal's defense who allowed Fedor Chalov to rocket into the box unchallenged and slot home from close range 6 minutes before the break. Wenger opted to change things at halftime, switching to a 5-man defense with Mohamed Elneny at the heart of it, an experiment that lasted all of 5 minutes after Petr Cech palmed Alexander Golovin's long-range effort straight into Kirill Nababkin's path. It was another overtly negative move from the Arsenal boss, and though he was quick to reverse his decision, there was no doubt it cost his team what could have been a crucial goal. For Cech's part, he was arguably at fault for both goals, with the voices of those who believe he should be replaced this summer getting ever louder after a display that saw him struggle with his distribution as much as anything else. Jack Wilshere, meanwhile, seems to already have his mind on other things. His second successive poor performance featured a number of misplaced passes as well as a couple of customary slumps to the ground with niggling injuries. His inability to influence matches as he would have liked to in recent weeks have justified the club's decision to only offer him an incentive-based deal, and a departure on a free now seems inevitable. Somewhat unsurprisingly, it was only when Wilshere was replaced that Arsenal were able to find a foothold in the game. Though Callum Chambers' introduction meant to return to 5 at the back, this time Elneny was offered a little more freedom to get forward, and it was his brilliantly weighted pass into Welbeck's path that allowed them to wrestle back control of the tie. Elneny revealed that he had offers to leave North London before signing a contract extension last week, and in providing 2 assists on the night he showcased exactly why the Gunners were so keen to keep him despite his relative lack of game time this season. Welbeck, meanwhile, now has 5 goals in his last 4 starts, with his form putting him right back in the frame for a place in England's World Cup squad. The 27-year-old is, much like his club side, coming good at the right time. His goal along with the stoppage time strike from Aaron Ramsey was enough to see Arsenal through to a first European semi-final for 9 years. In a week when so many threw away their shots at continental glory, they lived to fight another day. Maybe this might be Arsenal's year after